AI era visibility, specifically for executive women, and really understanding what impact AI has on all of our discovery opportunities for any one of us, whether you're an executive or anyone else, but really focused on looking at how AI has kind of become a gatekeeper to all opportunities and discoveries. So in one of our board meetings, when the topic came up about AI and all of this stuff, I thought, you know what, this would be a great way to take the lens, put my travel professional hat back on, and create this package for all of you, really from the mindset of, a small business, tourism audience, at least partially, and really looking at what's happening digitally speaking, how are people finding me, discovering me, all that. So that's what we're going to dig in today. We'll do questions at the very end. Sarah, let me know if there's anything that's jarring, like, I don't know, my computer might be sounding like it's taking off. Stop me for those things, but otherwise we'll keep all the questions for the very end.
Yeah, so far so good.
Okay, good. I will stop looking at this screen right here and go into presentation mode. So I have no idea what I look like and don't know what's going on your end. So please flag me in over audio. All right, so how to get discovered in 2026. I specified in 2026 because things are changing all the time. The good news is I think where we're at right now in 2026 is a really nice footprint or blueprint, I should say, for the next few years to come. So it's not like we're, even last year would have been like, oh, I don't know exactly where we're kind of falling. But this year, I think we have a good view of at least the next few years ahead of us. Oh, sorry. So right at this moment, right now, someone is planning their PEC weekend. And things have changed from the last few years or even a decade ago, where it was a pretty easy sense to understand, okay, they're probably going to Google, or they're probably going to, a guidebook or destination document of some sort, or a travel agent. Things have changed. It's a lot more spread out. Right now, they're asking ChatGPT where to go. They're searching on Instagram for inspiration. They're reading reviews across a bunch of different platforms. So it's a lot more like the World Wide Web. The word web is really at front and center right now. I look at it as a really positive thing. I know it could sound overwhelming, but it's so interesting how the work and time you would invest on a platform, let's say Instagram, is actually not just kind of wasting your time and just looking at your 200 followers on Instagram. What am I doing this for? Actually, right now in this year, it's actually so much more than just Instagram. What you do on one platform really affects a whole other collection of other platforms. So it's actually great. You're not wasting your time anymore. What you're doing, that foundational work, is really going to pay off right now as we speak. So I'll jump into what does that mean? How do we get discovered and vetted and chosen as the answer across all these different platforms? So I won't spend my time on this, but if anyone wants to reach me, here's my email address. I'll put it at the very end. Again, no need to do an intro, but I do want to say how honored it has been for me to be part of Visit the County from day one, and to watch this organization grow, and watch Sarah and the team and all the amazing work they're doing, and this tiny team of 3, and just like how much hours and work they can pump out of it. So I'm really, really grateful to be part of this volunteer board, and want to thank you, Sarah, Lindsay, Olivia, all of your hard work. So let's get into it. Do I have a time? I'm going to have a timekeeper over here because there's a lot to get through. If any of you were in my last webinar a few years ago, things have changed, number one. Number two, you'll notice I have a lot of content. I'm going to speed through some of it. I'm also not an AI engineer. So if you guys, I'm sure many people in the audience know more about this than I do. I'm really coming at this from the lens of a marketer with a tourism background, travel background, and also somebody who's super curious. And I've packaged this so that somebody who doesn't know anything is not going to get confused, because you can go down a rabbit hole, which I have done. So we can talk about that on on a sidebar. But I'm keeping this pretty high level, so please be cognizant of that. All right. So today we're going to learn where travelers are making their decisions and their discovery, how to show up. I'm going to be giving lots of tips. And then we'll dive into social media as well, because as I said, it's so interconnected these days, and really kind of take that old lens of my webinar of a couple of years ago, really like what to do on social media, how to drive an audience. So this webinar will be part SEO, GEO, part social media, how to, get your content engaged with, viewed, and all of that. So it'll be kind of dual purpose. So today, back to my webinar of a couple of years ago, social media was really important, and all the research platforms were saying, oh, it's getting there. It's, like social media is the #2 driver of discovery and recommendations and all that. Well, they've crossed the threshold, and now social media is the #1 tool for travelers and visitors to be discovering and vetting. It used to be family and friends had a higher authority in terms of recommendations and trust, and now social media has taken the lead. So it's 34% use social media for discovering and vetting and kind of trip planning. And this is from Amadeus. So any hotel people will probably recognize that name. It's one of the biggest industry experts out there. So they really, these are people, this is the staff not coming from social media, it's coming from industry. The second thing that's really important to understand is that asking AI is one of the fastest growing trends that they're seeing. It's already at 17%. I mean, the word AI didn't even show up in our webinar a couple of years ago. So this is important trend to be paying attention to. So the other piece, going back to the last webinar, I had it more as a funnel. And I think the funnel, the marketing funnel that, marketers will all know, it still does apply, but the funnel has kind of turned into a flywheel and just a bunch of loops. So this actually is the best visual representation of what I could have found online. It comes from eventerprise.com. So it's really about this audience at the top. Instead of coming down what used to look like a funnel, so it was like awareness, vetting, then it turned all the way down to conversion and all of that kind of stuff. Now it's really a loop. Myself, I've just planned my own little trip recently, and I can attest that this is exactly what happened to me. We are overwhelmed with platforms and data and information at our fingertips. So it's not really that kind of streamlined funnel anymore. We're really looping around and looking at different things: online search, referrals, communities, forums and groups and communities are huge. Social media, review platforms, all of that, vetting, comparison, competitors, all of that is really happening right now. So it's less about a funnel, more about a loop, because of how much time also we're spending on social media. And, we'll get into that later on, but we're really, the more you train your algorithm as a potential visitor to the destination, even though you put research aside for a second because you're busy or, you're trying to relax or whatever it is, it will come back. That same content will be fed back to you. So that's kind of why this funnel is looping around and coming in and out of the discovery and vetting process. So something to keep in mind, that this is a long game. What this means. So I'm sure you've all seen the articles where everybody's freaking out saying, oh my God, the traffic to our website has dropped, or AI is just going to cannibalize all website traffic. And that's, it's true, but it's not true, because AI and all of these tools that we're talking about are using your website. So it's almost like you have two audiences now. So whether that visitor at the end of the day finally clicks down to your website or not, I don't want to say it doesn't really matter, but if you put the right foundation in place, it doesn't matter, because the second audience, that's the gatekeeper, as I said earlier, if it has all the clear information that you want your visitor to know about, it's going to be proposing that and giving them that information. So not that your website is no longer important. I would say it's even more important. But you might see a drop in visitors, traffic to your website. No panic. It's really good. It's really interesting, and you'll see how everything is interconnected. However, because everything's interconnected, and we'll explain this a little bit later on, everything needs to be consistent, and we can't be confusing your two audiences, the visitor and the gatekeeper / AI. The other cool thing about this loop situation and the way AI is currently operating is that down the funnel, it used to be awareness and all the way down to conversion. And then once they've converted and they come and experience your, your business, that was kind of the end of the funnel. But right now, that experience and that content and those reviews and that kind of ambassadorship or championing actually becomes food for AI to ingest and becomes your discovery. So again, nothing is wasted. It's really, really interesting that when you look at your place of business and you watch your customers engaging with your place of business, potentially capturing content, or maybe not, and maybe it's just the review they'll give you after. Just look around, look at your team. You're like, this is my discovery team. This is the experience that everybody will be creating, will be absorbing, and then putting back into this AI universe to help me get discovered to the with the next group of audience. So how people search now. Before we dive into what AI is and all that, I think there's also been a behavioral shift. So the old way used to be very keyword focused, and even in my webinar a couple of years ago, even for social media or SEO, I was big about keywords. They're not, it's not wrong. It's just has shifted a little bit more. That instead of writing something like PEC wineries or restaurants or breweries or accommodations, now it's become a lot more conversational. There's a couple of reasons for that. Just from a behavioral shift of interacting with an AI agent that responds to you in a human way. Humans have started to be more conversational in the way they interact with AI. And there's lots of ways we interact with AI and don't even realize it. And then the second piece of that is that there's a lot of voice with AI. The generation ahead of us, which is shocking to me, won't even be using their keyboards anymore. All of this search, all of this discovery and vetting will be done by voice. So that just creates another reason for why things are way more conversational. So as you're looking at your strategy, whether it's what to put on your website, what content, what social media things to post, think this is kind of should be at the top of it. Things are conversational. People are asking questions like, where can I get fresh pasta near Picton? Is there a dog-friendly brewery? Like all of those types of very complex questions as well. It's not really about Picton restaurants. Now it's Picton restaurants, dog-friendly and wheelchair accessible. And that's the question they're asking. So it's multi-layered and AI has no problem figuring that out. And to that extent, AI will also try to guess other questions that you didn't even ask them. And so that's why questions are really, really important. So I want you to keep that in mind as you build out your strategy and even the way you write on your website. We'll get into that. A great way to understand to prove it, number one, but two, to understand, okay, well, what are these questions? You're sitting at a blank screen. Start by going into Google and searching a couple things. Even if you just put in keywords, it doesn't matter. If you scroll down the page, you'll start understanding what people are also asking. So PEI is interesting. We always see this in Google, but PEI is always confused with PEC. So many things you can understand. So many things you can see as like what mistakes people are making. But the other ones here, you can notice that this was like, I think I typed in, what family-friendly activities are there in Prince Edward County. These are other questions that people have also asked. And you can kind of click through these. Those three dots there are always magical little insight things next to people also ask, because it gives you a lot of background as to how Google's AI has come up with this recommendation. Another thing that you'll notice that proves that this is way more conversational and people are asking more complex questions. There's a tab now when you're searching, let's say my search of family-friendly weekend, what to do in a weekend in PEC as a family. There's a forum tab now on Google. And before you even click on the forums tab, these little snippets are showing up on the main search results page. So look at the types of things that are showing up. It's Facebook, there's Reddit. So these are all proof points of everything you do on other platforms actually might help fuel the way we used to say it, our SEO of our website and our ranking. So everything's interconnected. The work you put in on a platform is not useless. It's going to help you in other ways. And then again, a reminder, questions, conversational, always important. Okay, so for those of you who are not super familiar, or you've heard about AI and the headlines of news articles, but you know don't know exactly the kind of ABCs of it. All of us are interacting with AI, whether we've logged into Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini or not, doesn't matter. We're all being affected by AI because, number one, the easiest thing you've probably all noticed is that when you search something on Google, for most searches, it's kind of a growing trend, but for most searches, there's a Google AI overview. And that's the thing that the news articles are like, oh no, we're not clicking to websites anymore. So that right there is AI that you don't even have a choice. You're interacting with it no matter what. So that's the gatekeeper that we don't even realize we're interacting with. The second piece, a great example, is Instagram, which, you know, for travel, Instagram is really important. When you search in Instagram, there's Meta AI. Whether you like it or not, whether you signed up for Meta AI on the side or not, it's Meta's version of AI, which I think is llama based, which I can talk about another time. They already using AI as the gatekeeper between your search and what it presents as results. So the the term we used to use, SEO, like 3 minutes ago, the version of that for this is GEO or AEO, or you might even hear LLM optimization. Everybody's trying to pick the name. So basically it stands for generative engine optimization, which is the AI function, or answer engine optimization, which is, again, that conversational asking a question, getting an answer by Meta AI or Gemini, which is Google, or ChatGPT or Claude. So our job is to make sure, because the AI is kind of the gatekeeper everywhere, including, you know, LinkedIn, you name it, almost every platform has it. Our job is to make sure that this new audience, because technically you can kind of think of them as a character, as an audience, they read things differently, they discover things differently, or I shouldn't say that. It discovers things differently, it vets things and ranks things differently. It's our job to understand in the same way. If we had, from Montreal, so we have a Quebecois audience, we're like, oh, maybe I should have French content out there. This is the same thing. Maybe I should have content out there that this new audience, which is AI, can understand and read. So the shift here, the search is answered within the search. Social, as I said, are search engines. And unfortunately, a lot of the times when an AI answer is submitted, the average click-through rate is 8%, which is pretty sad. However, I would argue this is kind of an average across categories, where a lot of questions to Google or everything is, I don't know, how many minutes to boil an egg? Like when you get that answer, you don't necessarily need to click through enough. When it comes to trip planning, the uncertainty and the emotional fear is higher. So I think for our category of visitors and tourism, I think the click-through rate is higher because, you know, the human audience is happy to have this answer, but they're like, okay, well, let me see pictures, or let me vet this, or let me double check. So they'll click through. I would argue, this is not a fact, but this just from a logic perspective, our click-through rate to your website would be higher, even if AI is the gatekeeper. So as I mentioned, AI that we don't even realize is happening, right here's a great example. So I wrote kid-friendly weekend, Prince Edward County. Here's your AI overview. For those of you who are, you know, haven't clicked around and gone digging yet, here's a great way to do it. So you see right here, there's the section that's highlighted. It says, oh yeah, you can see here. You click on these things, or you click on this, it'll show you the pop-ups of how it came up with this answer. For me, this as a tourism operator, I'd be super fascinated with this, depending on what my queries are and my questions. I want to know what platforms are ranking and, you know, being recognized as the top answer. So YouTube, which is not shocking because Google owns YouTube. So that's obviously the AI is going to be able to understand the YouTube platform better, and it's going to promote that platform. It's not a shocker. Instagram. So as I mentioned before, what you do on Instagram, where you think, oh, nobody's viewing my, I only have 200 views or 50 views. Don't worry, because what you will do on Instagram is going to pay you back in the future. And look how old this video is. It says 2024. Another great positive, let's not be negative, looking at this is back a few years ago when you used to post on Instagram, used to post it, and you're like, all that hard work and I got 30 views or no engagement or whatever, and you think, what was the point of that? So look how the piece of content that you created or collaborated on or whatever 2 years ago or a year and a half ago is still working for you. So that's reassuring to me, at least. And Black River Cottages, good on you. You ranked, you did it. See, they wrote family activities in Prince Edward County, the ultimate guide. I'll explain later as to why that's important, but those are the things that ranked. And we'll go into more detail. As I mentioned, Instagram, this is a great example. Things to do with kids in Prince Edward County, this is what it serves up. So it gives you, this is the AI, and it's not even looking at Instagram stuff, because if you click on these 3 buttons here, it'll tell you what it's picking up. So it gives you a really good idea of, hey, maybe I should hang out with the pcparents.ca website people and talk about it. Maybe I should get my content out there. Hey, maybe I should update my listing on visitthecounty.com. The other thing to keep in mind, posts or search, again, the same thing, that post you posted 2 years ago might be served up as an answer. I would recommend video. As you can see, these are all videos. So we'll get into that in the future because AI just loves video. But then again, for this summary here, here's a great thing, summarized by Meta. So it used Airbnb.ca. I'll explain later why they picked that website. But again, whoever's listing that is, it's Prince Edward family friendly. That's what they put. They made sure the right keywords were in here. Base 31, great job, and pcparents.ca for the win again. Again, some other great examples. I think I'm going to speed through this for the sake of time. So how AI decides what to recommend. I'm not talking about the AI that decides who sees your post on Instagram. That we'll talk about later. Right now, I'm talking about Google, ChatGPT, this Meta AI answer, like the answer engine point, the GEO, the AEO portion. Put plainly, right now, think of the AI gatekeeper as a little assistant, right? And it has almost everything on the World Wide Web at its fingertips to answer this question. It needs to answer the question as fast as it can, because that's what the AI companies want it to do, as succinctly as it can, as correctly as it can. So it is going at lightning speed across the internet and looking for these 3 things. Clarity, because it doesn't understand nuance. It doesn't understand beautiful, flowery marketing language, unfortunately for me, because I love marketing language. It goes right over AI's head. So it needs clarity, it needs details, and it needs very concrete ways of describing things. It needs consistency, because there's so much information out there. One little inconsistency gets it confused, and then it doesn't understand which of the 2 pieces of content that are inconsistent with each other, which one is it? Are you open 7 days a week, or are you open 4 days a week? I don't know, gets very confused. So it needs consistency across websites or pages, places online. And then the third piece, because there's so much out there and there's so much slop, if I'm going to use the right AI word, there's so much slop out there, it's looking for authority. So it will say, okay, I have 500,000 mentions on the internet about family-friendly weekend and PEC. What do I choose? It's going to go for the websites that have the highest trust, because it doesn't want to give any wrong answers. So it's going to look at things like, in this category, because we're talking about travel and tourism, very often it's going to serve up whichever destinations, Tourism Bureau or DMMO, which is Visit the County. Why? Because it's, the wording of official tourism board or official DMMO for Prince Edward County. Those are things that are like, oh, authority. Usually these things are really well managed and they're not going to put false information on it. The other cool thing about these types of websites, again, under the authority blanket, is that DMMO websites or other big websites have a lot of pages, right? Versus our own websites or our personal have 1 page, 3 pages, 5 pages, maybe 10. Whereas other big authority websites have thousands of pages. So by that definition, it ranks higher as a higher authority piece. Authority also can be thought of as recency and how often the website's being updated. So even for our own tiny websites, having an up-to-date website, AI can tell when it was last updated. So if you haven't touched your website in a while, just go in there, tweak a letter, do whatever you need. Definitely make sure your information is correct. And basically what we're trying to do is understand there's a constellation of information out there about us and our business. Our website might not be the biggest authority because we don't have that many pages and we don't have a ton of traffic and we're not updated as often, but it's the most holistic. So it's the way that it can connect and start vetting. So AI won't make a decision on one website. It'll make a decision based on a bunch of clear, consistent, high authority information. Once it gets a pattern, it's very pattern focused, then it will say, that's the answer, I'm right, winner, winner, and we'll serve that over to you. So your website might not be the highest authority, but it's in the constellation, it's the one that really has all the information, says, well, I'm connecting the dots here. This is all the same business. It's open, it's in business, it's, has great reviews, you name it, the same one from that review website. It'll connect the dots and really give that green light to AI. So your website, even though you might not get as many traffic visits to it, still super important. Oh my gosh, Sarah, I think we need two webinars. Okay, here's a great list of what it can see in the screenshots. I explained it to you already. YouTube ranks really high. Social media things that don't disappear rank high. Reviews, TripAdvisors, Yelp, is it in Canada? I don't know, but all of those review websites, really important. Forums, all that kind of stuff. And again, DMMO listings usually are, the most well taken care of in terms of random. Like a blogger is important because it probably has great traffic, lots of pages, but their requirement to be super minute on the details might not be as high as a DMMO, so that it'll rank a DMMO. So it's a little game that it plays in seconds. What gets you indexed? If you want to screenshot this, highly recommend. So your FAQs on your websites, if you don't have an FAQ section or a section that has question and answer, please do create that. That should be on top of your list. I think we should all pretend or just put the hat on of us being travel agents or travel experts for our region, and even mention each other, because then we're helping all of us. Get a group of you together, start mentioning, getting each other on each other's list of best places to do XYZ. Explainers are really important. If you're explaining, especially family-friendly, dog-friendly, wheelchair accessible, you name it, explain different things, or what to know about winter in Prince Edward County. Those kind of topics are really important for AI. And your headers, very important. Again, you could do a whole separate webinar on that. Your Google business profile, just like YouTube videos, please make sure it's top-notch, updated with photos. Actually, use it as a social media platform and post updates. Talk about, we closed early because of the snow. We did this, patios open and buzzing, whatever those updates could be, doesn't matter. It gives a signal to AI that you care about your business profile, you're in business, the recency effect really helps. Media articles, PR has come back. PR is getting a glow up because usually media websites are high authority websites with a lot of pages, a lot of traffic, editors behind it. So it ranks much higher than it would have in old school SEO rankings. So really great. Wikipedia a little less for us in this situation, but really authoritative directories, for other subjects, or if this matters for you, like universities, their websites are high authority websites because they rarely put anything false on their websites. All of those things are important. The other piece is the way your platform is organized is really important. So platforms like events, platforms like Eventbrite, those kind of websites, it says like dates, location, hours, pricing. The way that the schema. I don't know. My French background just thinks schema. But basically, the way the back of that website is organized in very clear, consistent way is gold for AI. So if you have an event coming up, definitely put an event on Facebook. Definitely put that event on Eventbrite. Definitely make sure and who we are, about us, about the event. Put in other stuff, like put in foundational types of content about your business, because maybe the event comes and goes, but that Eventbrite listing or Facebook event listing might help you in the future because you talked about how wheelchair accessible your location is. Discussions in community, Reddit, so important. Reddit ranks so high on AI, and Facebook, open Facebook groups and posts, and because it's humans kind of vetting each other and answering questions, that's really important. So getting into those groups and those Reddit threads might be fun for you. You might actually get some fun traffic. I mentioned this, the forums. The things that don't rank so much, stories, they disappear. Anything private, a private profile, private group, DMs, they don't rank. Anything behind a paywall that requires a login won't rank. Low authority websites, links from websites that are irrelevant. So there are, I don't want to put a blanket statement, but there are some services out there that are like, we will do backlinks for you to show that you get mentioned across lots of different websites. It's going to help you with, in the past it was SEO ranking, and now they're trying to convince everyone that it's about AI, a GEO perspective. I think AI has become a little bit smarter in the sense of, like, if you're mentioned on a website that's completely irrelevant to travel, tourism, to the answer it's trying to answer, or if it just looks weird or has like a fraudulent tagging to the website, that will actually do you a disservice. So those things don't work quite so much. Google Business Profile, I'm going to whip through this because this is really important. The reviews here, by all means, create a Q&A, answer your own questions. Make sure, so I wrote NAP a couple places, your name, your address, and your phone number. Make sure it's written consistently everywhere. So if you're on Main Street, do not write ST on one platform and street on another platform. Do not write your name with the word "and" on one platform and then an ampersand, the symbol on another platform. Those confuse AI. So make sure your key information pieces, name of your business, address, and phone number across every platform is exactly the same. Just take a minute to do that, because that will then say, oh, same business, so then what's written on this website also I can layer into what's written on that website, and that way you're creating your constellation properly. Now, again, your website, an FAQ page. What to expect, I think, are really, really great types of content to write, because if you notice, if you spent any time with ChatGPT or Claude, become friends, it likes to give nuance, and it likes to give, like a little insider information, and tries, especially when it comes to trip planning. So anything that helps ChatGPT or Claude give that type of information about what to expect, painting a picture, really selling it in, again, not marketing language, but really just concrete language of expect beautiful views of Lake Ontario, expect, great music, that kind of stuff. Those are really, really great pieces of information, because AI will pick that up and serve it up to your human audience. Pricing transparency, very key, especially in trip planning. AI will, as things evolve, especially with AI, and we start thinking of actual trip planning websites and agents, we're not quite there yet. There's not this super popular trip planner tool that everybody's using. It's really more AI embedded everywhere, but pricing transparency is key. Seasonality, when you're open, what days of the week, very important. The structure, the back end of your website, if you do have any IT support or any developer expertise in your network, the back end is really important about how clear your website is. There's certain fun things you can inject as code in the back end of your website that really states who you are, times of opening hours. Like, there's so many things you can do in the back end that really help as well. Awards and certificates. Awards and certificates are super important, again, on that trust and authority building angle when AI is trying to discover and vet and rank. If you have an award, mentioning it properly on your website is great and key, and linking to the award giver or certificate giver is great. What's even better is if the body that's giving the award or certificate mentions you and there's a double connection for that constellation, that just gets you through the roof. So those types, so you know, back in the day when we were at En Route, so something like En Route would have been a massive high authority website because it's got tons and tons of pages and it's categorized as a travel website. So if you were named as Canada's best new restaurant on that page, that would just skyrocket you through your GEO and the way AI looks at you as a restaurant or bar. Okay, and so yeah, an example just to give you a sense, like you need to be super explicit, be very conversational on your website, explain when you're open in January, don't just have like opening hours and then change it all the time, because your current opening hours might be different than your high season opening hours. Make sure all of that is very clear and succinct and the same everywhere and consistent. Okay, oh my gosh, Sarah, I'm gonna whip through this again, but we can have a separate social media call about this. Social in 2026, as I've been mentioning throughout, these platforms are now dual purpose. In the past, they were just marketing and build your followers and get engagement. Now it is food for AI. So it tells AI across different types of AI platforms what exists, how it's talked about, all of that. And that influences everything. So the work you put into social is great for marketing, drawing attention, but also will be like a power horse for you and a long-term investment of time and work for you. And this is all new, right? In 2025, I think it was July, I can't even remember, Google just got access to Instagram. Before that, Google couldn't even look into Instagram. But somehow, I think it was 2025. In mid-2025, there was an agreement made and a change made to Instagram that it stopped being kind of a walled garden to a certain degree. And anything you post on your feed, not your stories, all of a sudden became indexable. Indexable. It could be indexed by Google. So all of this stuff is new and changing and amazing. So maybe even go back into your old posts again. Don't make new content, of course, for other reasons. But if you can't or feel like you want to get something accomplished today, go back into an old post, read the caption, make sure you're putting the right information in it. Because it might get 2024 got surfaced, right? When I showed you the Google example. And then, of course, it's the old school marketing channel driving awareness. It's also the nuance here that's new, was growing in trends. Now it's very much here. It is a Google for especially trip planning and especially, health, beauty, wellness, consumer goods, and all that kind of stuff. But Instagram, Facebook, TikTok have become search channels as well. Okay, sorry. What social rewards today, for now, it might change in a bit, but the algorithms, again, this is more about getting your content seen within Instagram. This is not about AI GEO as much anymore, but there's AI within these platforms, right? So anything that gets engagement, less about likes and comments, because Instagram and TikTok has noticed that we're liking and commenting less and less, and we're doing more as an audience. We're doing more saves and more shares and more DMs. So those are really important. Saves, shares, DMs, watching content to the end. So watch time is very important. Clear captions. There's so much AI going through your content within Instagram or TikTok. So there's so many ways you can speak to AI in their language, but captions, words on your video or on your screen, it can read on an image and it can read on a video. It definitely reads the caption in the post where there's the ability for you to type in a post. It definitely hears your voice, which is a little creepy, which is what it is. And subtitles and captions very much reads through it all. And then it also rewards things that are entertaining, inspiring, educational. That's really where things are moving. This is not a new trend, but this is kind of where we're at still. examples of what's trending. This changes all the time, but these are the kind of bigger ones that are always around. But like the point of view, come with me, day in the life, before and after, arrival moments, and something kind of like when you're unpacking a gift or arriving somewhere, those still do well. They're kind of the evergreen things that always do well because they fit into what I have here as world building. I have this later on in the deck, but Instagram and TikTok especially, and YouTube, are no longer bulletin boards and photo albums, which is what we used to be, the way we used to use them in the past, right? It was like a collection of saves and things like that that we wanted to show the world about ourselves. These channels have now taken the spot of old school television shows, and we are spending more time consuming content as our entertainment and TV of today on these platforms. So looking at your account, yes, as your website, yes, as from a AI perspective, but when it comes to entertaining and getting engagement on the platform, look at your account as a TV channel and look at the posts you post as your TV shows. Those are really that's what's doing really well in today. You've probably noticed, especially the younger kids, they're streaming TikTok, YouTube, everything on their television screens too. So it's not only taking time up on, consumers are not only spending time with this content on their phones, but they're also going to big screens. So short videos are great because, again, TV shows and TV video outperform stills, clear captions, storytelling, not ads. We're all guilty of this. We kind of go into the polished look of like trying to make things look like an ad that we would have seen that would have been made by a big production studio. That stuff is lovely, but it's really not what performs. Unpolished, come inside, or TV show, a skit or episodic or series type thing really outperforms the super polished ad, that, we see, bigger tourism boards like, Visit Scotland. These are like very big cinematic epic ads and all that. Those are great, but they don't perform as well as some more storytelling-ish type of content on these platforms. Facebook, I just put this here a little bit. Event posts, forums, groups, really important. Let's not forget that. YouTube, Pinterest, I'll go very quickly. YouTube, very important to keep in mind and repurpose your stuff. You don't have to start creating YouTubes from scratch. There's YouTube Shorts, which are vertical as well. Go ham, because Google loves YouTube. But YouTube, and then people also do their searching, especially for travel on YouTube as well. YouTube loves clarity, helpful explanations. They care about watch time. Titles and descriptions are really important. The type of content of like what to expect, Q&A type things are really important. Guides are great. The longer, the better. They do really well on YouTube. And Pinterest, I think, is, the not talked about enough platform, especially if you have a lot of photos and stills. Go for Pinterest. This is really more of like future proofing, future planning kind of content. So it's really about get yourself in the mindset of your visitor. They're really in planning mode now, and inspiration of like, what do I want to see while I'm here? What do I want to do? What do I need to know? And really label your content that way. Put it in the as a graphic design or in your image, and also in the content pieces. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up in 2 minutes. Train your algorithm. So the way algorithms work for Instagram and TikTok mainly, but it's the same almost kind of everywhere. What it does when you post something to the platform, it will take a small subset of people, and usually not even your followers. Like, follower count is kind of useless now. More people see your content that are not followers than your actual followers. So it will find how, I'll explain later, it will find a first group of people to watch your content or engage with it. And that performance will decide how many more people and to whom the algorithm shows your content. So sometimes if you're watching obsessively your video's performance, you'll see, 100 views, and then it kind of like quiets down. And then 300 views, and it quiets down, because it's taking time and going out in bursts. So watch time, save, shares, all of that. What you need to do to train your algorithm in the voice, in the words you use, is tell your algorithm who this content is for. This is for, I'm going to say this is, tongue in cheek. This is for the best bachelorette weekend in Prince Edward County. This is for families with young kids. This is for, couples, romantic getaway, people who care about wellness. Like there's so many ways we can slice it. You use words and use your voice and use as much clues as you can. That will help your algorithm go, oh, bachelorettes. I know a group of women who are planning their bachelorette. I'm going to serve this to them. So make sure you give context. I just said this. Location tags are very important, especially for travel. Titles are very important. Hashtags, this came up at our town hall. A little bit less important because AI is so smart, it looks through everything. I would use hashtags when it feels weird inserting that word into your sentence, but you want to include it, like sustainability-wise, accessibility, you name it, or perfect for Prince Edward County. You could say the county in your video, but you're like, I want to make sure they know what I'm talking about. So you could do hashtag Prince Edward County, hashtag PEC. Those are the ways I would use hashtags. It's more of like bolstering and less about this is the only way it's going to find me. That's not it. Here's an example of how I would edit content. Oh my God, I'm looking for this. I explained this, how content is tested. The first 3 seconds are so important because we're so overloaded with content. Everybody's heard about, if you care a little bit about social media and marketing, you hear about hooks, hooks, hooks. So important. So make sure your video or your carousel has a title. Make sure what you say in the first few seconds matters. Make sure there's like an interesting movement that really stops people from scrolling or swiping. Videos top, 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 top. It always wins. We are video creatures. The next thing, which is surprising, if you have a lot of imagery, not a lot of video, carousels, which is basically a still image that has many images and you can swipe through it. Really great for telling a story, planning tips, best lists, all that kind of fun stuff. Those do surprisingly well and do really good also for GEO and AI. Stories are great for showing the world that you're in business, especially in days like a snowstorm. We're closing early. That's going to be a really great signal to people in trip planning mode or in trip vetting mode. So I definitely do those. They won't help you necessarily for GEO, but it also might help you with just showing that social platform that you're an engaged account. Those are okay, but they're the kind of bottom of the barrel. They really need to be worth it to work. So I'm going to deprioritize those. Series, as I mentioned, it's TV show world. And the other good thing about series is that if you already posted something in that series, a previous video or carousel, the algorithm has already tested that and discovered what kind of people like it. And if you've got a little mini pre-approved vetting stamp on it, so doing more of those makes the algorithm, it's easier for the algorithm to figure out what's she saying again? What is she talking about? So series do help from that perspective. And then from the human perspective, it helps because we like familiarity. We like coming back to the world building aspect of like, oh, I want to know what morning looks like at the winery, or I want a Q&A with, this is what guests always ask for. Like there's so many ways you can, formats you can use, but a series of those work really well for many reasons. Testing is more important than perfection. Please don't worry about polish. Instagram used to be polish, beautiful, Insta worthy, all of that. It's no longer. It's become more like TikTok. So polish, not so important. Don't worry if your camera is shaky. Oftentimes influencers shake their cameras on purpose because the more real, the more human, the more we pay attention. So you'll notice that now when you start watching influencers, but they do something that makes it look unprofessional, or like they'll just come sit down in the first couple seconds. That's, again, not about perfection. It's about being human, especially as we start seeing AI deepfakes. This very real humanity is going to be very important. So please test, pick 3 formats or series. This is my thing. I tell everyone, pick 3 things: walkthroughs, FAQs, atmospheric. I'm walking to my beehive on property, or I'm walking through my lavender field, whatever it is. Pick a series, pick a format, pick 3, do 10 of each. You cannot evaluate the performance of a content piece in a silo. You have to look at all of them and say, what did well? That hook was different. Those 3 seconds were different. And then keep iterating. Keep the ones that do well, do less of the ones that don't do well, or change it up, and just keep going that way. This again is really if you want to build an audience and really care about the engagement piece. This is less about AI foundation work because you can do a minimal amount. You don't have to do all these series for the SEO, GEO foundational piece. Okay, last slide for a second slide. Where to spend your money, content, 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 build your AI constellation, that foundation, build content, not to say volume of like, I need to post 3 times a day, I need to post every day. No, you don't need to be an influencer. That's not what we're doing. But really being strategic in how you post. So if you're too busy and exhausted with life, as we all are, pick a period of time, pick a small volume of things and be like, these 3 things I'm going to post, I'm going to make it worth it because it's going to help me with GEO. It's going to be clear to the person coming to my Instagram page and vetting me of like, do I really want to go there? I'm getting a good showing. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm showing them what it's like here. Those are my 3 pieces I'm doing, and then I'm not going to think about it. I'd rather you do that than nothing. Is it worth it? Influencers, PR, media, kind of. PR and media and hosting media is important because of the high authority GEO perspective. Influencers and media, yes, less about follower count. Don't look at people's follower counts. Look at their engagement. Look at all their videos. See how much likes, shares, views they're getting. And look at it that way. Ads are tough. It deserves its own webinar. Meta and TikTok. Meta just introduced a way of serving ads and campaigns called Andromeda, Advantage Plus. There's so many elements of that. It's more about a volume of content. So in one campaign, don't put one piece of content, put many, and AI will kind of do the rest. It will say, we're going to test these 6 pieces, no joke, 6 to 12 pieces of content. One's a carousel, one's a video, one's a this. We're going to test it out. Give us enough of a runway. We will find the right video to the right person at the right part of their journey. So that's kind of how it is now. It's harder. It deserves its own webinar, but ads are good when you really want to do a push. For somebody with a small budget, I don't recommend an always on or boosting everything. I definitely don't recommend boosting content that you've never tested organically. Personally, I love putting it out in the wild, see how it does comparatively to my other content, and then putting money behind the things that naturally perform best. Woo! So I talked about these, but business profile number 1, add an FAQ page on your website, pick a social platform, give it whatever you can give it in terms of your time and investment, and also Google yourself and click around like we kind of did on some of my examples. That will help you really understand what people in your world and the audiences that care about you, what things they're asking and what they're looking at. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Sorry it took so long. I can go over, I'm sorry if anyone has to drop off, but I can go over a little bit for questions. I'm gonna exit my screen now.
Thanks, Christal. That was a wealth of information, and I think we might have to start like a quarterly webinar series with you or something.
I did this last time, I think it was more punctual last time. I gave us a little more time. I apologize.
So for those of you who are with us, we invite you to enter any questions you might have into the chat. Or you can also follow up by emailing Christal directly or emailing hello@visitthecounty.com. Yeah, I think we've got about 3 or 4 different ideas for webinars out of what you were talking about today. So we'll come up with some more topics to explore, and we'd love any suggestions from our attendees today. All right, I see Louise has raised her hand. You can access the chat feature down in the right-hand bottom corner of the screen, and you can type any questions or comments that you may have in there.
Can you unmute people with their hands up?
We did this in the webinar format where
Okay.
Everyone who's attending is a viewer only. So we're figuring it out on the Google platform. Every platform is different, right?
I know. I was going to say Google is always different than the Microsoft or the Zooms.
All right. I'm not seeing any chats enter right now. So hopefully I see Louise, you raise your hand if you're able to enter your question in the chat. That would be great. And Andrea as well. Oh, okay. So
Oh,
I
we
think
got this.
Lindsay's helping folks join. So Andrea, go ahead. Okay,
Thanks,
thanks. That was
Andrew.
great. Awesome. Did you have anything else to say, Andrea? It looks like you can unmute now.
Oh, Nicole said chat was on one.
All right. Sorry about the technical challenges, folks. Okay. All right. So it looks like the chat wasn't working. Sorry about that. We've clearly got some things to learn in the back end.
Playing Google.
Sure. Oh, good. Okay, Mikkel.
Okay. If I repurpose newsletter content, is it better to put full issues on my website, blog, guides, FAQs, so AI can see them? Or is there a smarter way to structure that content for discovery? Ooh, great question. So your newsletter content, I'm going to assume, is in the form of like an EDM email newsletter. You usually probably have a platform you use. There's lots of ways you can slice this. So you have to find a way, a platform for that content that AI really loves to ingest, right? A great platform that is super ingestible is Substack. So you can, if you don't already have your newsletter living somewhere on a website, HTML, you can repurpose that newsletter content as a Substack and just kind of easy, have it automated, have it go that way. The other piece I like, bolstering your website is never a wrong idea. So adding it as a blog, guides, FAQ, super, super important. It's very conversational, the blog format of things. The one thing I would be weary of is not to copy paste content and have it show up in lots of different areas, because same with SEO ranking of the previous days, it confuses things. So I would have versions of that same information, but have AI help you with rewriting things. Have it say the same thing, but have a little bit of a different angle to it, and then have it in as many places. Create an FAQ on your Instagram, have a highlight of that, have reels about it, guides. So I think the key message here is take the work you're putting into your newsletter, which is all consuming, and think of each part of that newsletter and say, okay, well, where can I put this elsewhere? And I'll just tweak it, have AI tweak it for me, and do all of that. Hope that answers. News is great, including press releases. News is great because it shows recency for a geo perspective. It shows like just by being under the news banner, it shows AI like, oh, pay attention to this because this is big news. That's worth me calling it news, so it must be important. That's really great. But I think if you have a well-structured website and you're writing the right things, whether you call it a blog or news or guides, it's not a huge difference. I think guides are really important, or because in trip planning world, not necessarily for other categories, those will help you from a geo perspective. Thanks, Mikkel.
Okay, we're still trying to troubleshoot this chat thing. I'm not sure what went wrong. So I guess we should take our own webinar on how to run this in the future. Okay, so just keeping everyone's time in mind, it is 12:03. So yes, we are going to make the recording of this available via our industry newsletter, and it will be on our industry YouTube channel. So, and then Christal, you've already shared your contact information. Would you want to share that one more time so folks can reach out if they do have any pressing questions?
Yes, it's info@meet, as in meet me, meetboa.com. So BOA.com.
Meetboa.com.
Yes.
There we go. Great. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you to everyone who attended. And we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your Monday, or what day is it today? Tuesday?
I don't know.
It's a year of January. All right. Thanks, everyone.